handout itself is from A Course in Miracles. And of course, I always like to tell you exactly what it says. Course in Miracles preface, what it says, page Roman numeral 10. But it's a very, very beautiful presentation. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So I just want to say it again to those of you who will be joining us with YouTube, that nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Of course, we have to determine what is real and what is unreal, and that's what I hope to be able to do in the presentation here this morning. So you can just kind of set that aside. You can maybe take that home and frame it, put it somewhere in your room or wherever it might be, and thank Nisi again for making it so nice for us. Let me just begin by saying that it's always a joy just to greet everyone in our monthly teaching. And this past month has really been a wonderful continuation of really, in a sense, moving into that higher understanding of things. Our ability to study and to share this developing clarity as to who we are, what we're doing, and how we especially want to proceed in the world. Living here truly in the sense of knowing what you're about and how you go about what you're about is just one of the most beautiful of all things to share. And perhaps more than anything else, that we're able to do this with great joy and great happiness and a sense of confidence truly in our future. It was really nice doing our program this past month. Just a wonderful, wonderful notion of moving into not only the dynamics of creation, but that yellow brick road, and bringing all of these things in a sense to fruition. And I'm happy to say that the yellow brick road, the cast of characters and everything that's in it and so on, really will be also on our YouTube at the end of the month. So it'll be a wonderful opportunity for us to engage in that particular enterprise as well. Having said all of that, more than anything else, what I'd like to share with you this morning is this movement of understanding. It's a movement of understanding from vague beliefs to seeing clearly. I'd like to focus on moving from vague beliefs to seeing clearly. And for this, what I'd like to do is, I'd like to begin with a childhood experience from my way little past in the background, and then state it in a sense with the notion that there are many people who are very uncertain about life today, and then trying to bring these two things together for both clarity and for joyful living. So let's begin. First, an experience from my distant past. Most of us probably in life have had what I would just call a defining event, something that influences most of our lives in some way, shape, or form. My occurrence came when I was about 7 years old. I remember it very, very distinctly, although at the time I did not know that it was a defining event. Not only do I remember the event, but I remember where it occurred. I was walking in my backyard, just about 7 years old at the time, when a question came to me. Although it came in the form of a question, it was more like a direction in my life. And for my whole life, this direction has always remained constant, and it is still with me today. Just want you to know that. The question, which again came in the form of a direction, was, what is really real in life? What is really real in life? Now, as a 7-year-old, I just want you to know, I did not know that that was a defining event. Just want you to know that. But every year or two since then, this question would come up in my life. What is really real? For example, when I was a youngster, I was engaged in athletics and so on, and I would think, well, if I was happy because we won a game and other people were sad because they lost the game, that didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me. That didn't seem to be really real. If some people were happy, then other people were sad. Just didn't seem really real to me. And then what was also rather interesting was the fact that sometimes maybe I would receive an honor in life and I'd be very happy about it. But then I would go home and then I would look at my mom and dad and just feel that, well, if they weren't feeling well, that really didn't make me very happy. What was really real to me was my relationship to my parents rather than my honor, whatever else that might have been in life. And then probably, just like you, I look for what most of us probably would say, what is really real. I would look for those things that were outside of myself. I looked probably for, first of all, relationships. Thought those things were really real. I really looked for success in the world. And I even enjoyed working with other people and so on. But to be more than honest, what I really found was that the more I looked outside of myself, the riskier life seemed to get. It got even less real when I looked outside of myself than it did when I looked within myself. No matter what seemed externally real and pleasurable, it was always subject to change. Sometimes it would change within a few minutes. Sometimes it would change maybe within a few days, or maybe a couple of months, or maybe a few years. Now, let me also be clear, my life was pretty good. I did not live a depressing life. I was pretty happy, and I seemed to be getting better and better in life and so on, although that elusive, really real still seemed to be quite on the outskirts. It was very unclear to me. Then something struck me that did not sadden me, but nevertheless it was a two-edged, sobering sword. A two-edged, sobering sword. The first one, and it kind of made me a little sad, but not real sad, was the fact of the matter that many of the things that I learned from my family, from my education, from my religion, and my culture did not seem really real to me. I knew that these people who taught me these things were very concerned about them, and they seemed to believe them, and they wanted me, in a sense, to follow them, but quite frankly, they did not seem really real to me. They just didn't speak to what I was looking for. They just weren't really real, even though a lot of other people really believed in them, or at least really seemed to believe in them. And then, the other side of the sobering sword also pierced me. It was the realization that not just me, but many other people really had only vague beliefs in life. They followed what others seemed to have said, whether it was their family, maybe their religion, maybe their society, but they still seemed to be very vague about, well, what is really real. Vague about what's really important in life. Vague about what is good in life. Vague about, well, what happens when you die. This situation of vagueness needed an answer. And I am very happy to share with you the answer that I have found to be what is really real, what is very joyful for me, what is very confident for me in going forward, and perhaps might also be very confident for you in your future. The answer to what is really real came from a change in direction and a guided search. A change in direction and a guided search. First, the change in direction. Somewhere in my search for what was really real, I came to the conclusion that, like that song said, I was looking for love in all the wrong places. Just understood that. I had looked for the really real in what was not really real. I looked for the really real outside of myself because Well, that's the way I was taught. I was just taught to find my niche in the world. I was taught to find my place out there. And after a while, I found out that I didn't fit in out there anymore. And perhaps like many of you, I just didn't fit in out there. Or I could say, in a sense, I could make do, I could be pretty happy, but I really knew it wasn't really real. Everything was just kind of like a temporary changing experience that seemed real for a moment, but then quietly, in a sense, revealed its unreal self. And it never seemed to satisfy me deep down. I needed a better direction. That direction came from a guy by the name of Socrates. Just an old Socrates guy. His basic teaching in life very simply was to know thyself. Well, that was the direction that I needed. But I wasn't quite sure of what I was going to find. It was quite a surprise. The direction was clear, however, and for what is real within yourself, all you would seem to do would be simply to go within. But what I found that was very interesting was that the really real within me was not the really real that I thought was within me. That was really a consternation. What I thought was really real in Vince was really not what was really real within me. In fact, who I thought I was was the roadblock that I had to go through to find out who I really am. Well, that was a consternation, I can tell you that. The very person within seemed to be the roadblock to find out who I really am. So let me explain. Who I thought I was Vince. And it seemed pretty simple to go within. Just go within Vince. It sounded simple enough. Know yourself. Know Vince. Well, it was quite a revelation, not so much to go within, but to go within and to find out that you aren't Vince. That was quite a revelation, that you aren't your limited human self, that you aren't who you thought you were, but rather to learn that who you thought you were, as in the Course of Miracles saying so nicely, was a case of mistaken identity. Oh man, wasn't that something? To go within and find out that that's not who you really, really were. I found out that I am not Vince, but that I am the all the time really real. I am the all the time really real. I am the God presence within. What is really real is the recognition that you are an eternal soul. What is really real is that you are the Spirit of God. And what is really real, very simply, is that you are that aspect of God which really helps you to know that you are holy. It's that presence within that is the most important thing to come to know. Well, Vince did not take this lying down. Just want you to know that. Every false part of who I thought I was had to be gently observed, had to be understood, and then submitted to the direction of the presence within. That change took a lot of time. It took a lot of time, but with every passing challenge, the really real became clearer and clearer. What was really real became clearer and clearer. I had come to the clarity of who I am, what is really real, namely the presence that is within me. Two pleasant surprises awaited me. Very, very pleasant surprises. The first of those two particular surprises came in this way. The first one was that Vince's life got better. Vince's life got better in every way because there was a better self running the show. There was a better self running the show. Vince, in a sense, did not have to give up anything which he had previously identified with, from relationships to things, but that rather everything got better because there was a better self showing up, and the quality of Vince's life was not based on temporary things outside of himself, but rather on the timeless, limitless reality of the really real that was within him. The second surprise. When Vince moving from vagueness to understanding things more clearly, he noticed that many other people were willing to do the same thing. They too wanted to move from what was vague, uncertain, into a greater clarity. They too wanted something more than just the tidbits of the world. They too seemed to shift their identification to the presence that was within. The presence that was within, with the very same results. With the very same results. Not only in a sense were their everyday lives better, but people began to truly grow in this changeless, really real experience of the presence that was within them. And more than anything else, that's what we aspire to achieve, to know that really real presence that is within you now, in the future, and forevermore. You got it, Millicent. Forevermore.
I know.
Yes.
I understand it. Yes.
In conclusion, you certainly have a right to hear the answer to the question that is probably brewing within each one of you, and you really do know the answer. The question is, well, how do you know that you have found the really real? You know the answer. It feels right.
That's right.
Makes sense. And it works 100% of the time. Got to put it to the test. But when you do put it to the test, you truly move from vagueness to clarity. And you begin to have that confidence of moving forward in the world from the presence within. Let's bring that into meditation. Maureen, if you would lead us in that meditation song, which is
Surely the Presence, number 11. Surely
the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power, joy and grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
There's a holy hush around us as His glory fills this place. I can see His mighty power in each face. My heart is overflowing with the fullness of His grace. know without a doubt today that God is in this place.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can hear mighty power, joy and grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. It's a joy now to bring you into meditation. And as we do so, I simply ask that you commit yourself, that you dedicate yourself to this wonderful opportunity of going within and knowing that presence that is within you. Let us begin today by simply taking a few breaths, just relaxing into a calm positioning of your body, settling your mind, and just bringing your soul to the fore. Take that moment to move your soul forward, to bring it into the forefront of your living. Please do that now. Move now into that I am presence. Move into that place within you, that when you say the word I, you know that it's more than just the little you. It's that larger part of you, that bigger part of you. Fully now, move into that larger presence and feel that I resounding within you. I'll come back to guide you shortly. There'll be 3 steps to the meditation. The first one, there is simply a presence that is within you. As you're sitting here right now, It is your inner voice. It is your inner knowing. May you take a moment to simply know it. Know it as your inner light, as your inner guide. Feel the confidence of that presence within you. Feel it deeply. Let us proceed. This presence within me is not beholding to anyone. It is only beholding to yourself. It's only beholding to yourself, to thine own self be true. And yet, it is kind, it is loving. It simply knows the difference between being a people pleaser and being helpful. And lastly now, would you like yourself this way? Would you be really happy that you know what is really real? There's just this presence within you that is real. It is that part of you that has not left its source. It's that presence within. With all of the joy and confidence, and yet the calmness and the peace that only such a presence can bring. Would you like yourself this way? Return now to the rhythm of your breathing. And as you do so, would you join with Maureen in singing, "Peace is flowing like a river," and then what is truly the case, that you are a blessing to the world.
Peace is flowing like a
river,
river,
flowing out of you and me, flowing out into the desert, setting all the captives free. Love is flowing like a river, flowing out of you and me, flowing out into the desert, setting all the captives free. Joy is flowing like a river, setting all the captives free. Alleluia, 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 alleluia.
You are the heart, you are the hands,
You are the voice of spirit on earth, and all you are,
and all you do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands,
we are the voice of spirit on earth, and all we are, and all we do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. And that's simply the truth, that we are blessings to the world, setting others as well as ourselves free. And just when you're ready now, bring that attention back into the room, into your body personas, just opening up your lovely eyes and allowing the Spirit, the presence within, to shine through. Namaste.